Hi everyone, it's Dina. I'm here today with a casual beading tutorial where we will be making a necklace using the spiral stitch. In this project, we will be using items from the Bargain Bead Box Key Lime Pie collection that was released in March of 2025. From that box you will need the Alashan agate round beads that are 8mm. I apologize if I didn't pronounce that correctly because I'm not quite sure on the pronunciation. But these I'm going to end up calling my olive beads because they look like olives to me. Then we're going to need some extra seed beads. Our core beads of the spiral stitch, we're going to be using some 8-ohs. This is the Duracoat Opaque Maroon color. It is Miyuki's number 4470 if you're interested in that. And then this one, and I apologize for the name of it, but it is the Silver Lined Root Beer of the Miyuki 11-ohs. This is Miyuki's number 2929. So I apologize that they're two different food groups and they don't go together. So I'm sorry about that, but the colors look awesome together. So moving on, we're going to need some extra things outside of our seed beads and beads. We'll need a clasp of choice. And then I'm actually using, instead of a jump ring for my large lobster clasp here, I'm using the round portion of an old toggle that is too small for me to use in any other projects. So I'm going to use it for this and use that as my jump ring attachment for the lobster clasp. With that, I'm going to have a couple of wire guards out as well. We're going to use those on either end to help secure these better. As well as I have a couple of 4mm jump rings and 6mm jump rings. I'm not sure if I'm going to end up using the jump rings or not. I just have them out just in case. Other supplies we'll need is a needle of choice. I just have Pony brand needle here, size 11. That's just the size that I use. You can probably use size 10 with it being 8-ohs that we're going through mostly. You can probably get a size 10 through that as well. Then we're going to need some thread. I'm using the Wildfire 0.006 inch sized thread in the color of green today because I'm using the darker color beads. So go ahead and get those supplies out. We will need just the beads at the moment. All of the extra findings and stuff you can put off to the side, and meet me back and I'll show you that first step on how to make your spiral stitch. Alright, so what we will do to start off with is put a stop bead on our thread. And just pick up one of your 8-ohs. You can use a random 8-oh if you want to, something else that's not used in your product if you would like. I'm just using one of these just in case I need to add on to the necklace at the end, and I'll explain that in just a minute. So, to put your stop bead on, just go back through your stop bead one more time. Just to have just one extra thread pass through it, and that way it helps keep your other beads from falling off too quickly. So this is the spiral stitch. We start off with a core. Now your core is going to be 4 of your 8-oh seed beads. So you're always going to have 4 beads that you're going to go through. I'll explain in just a second if you're not familiar. So we're going to start off with that. Now on the spiral stitch you have the core and then you have decorated beads on the outer edge. So our core is going to be the 4 8-ohs. Our decorative beads to start off with is going to be 5 11-ohs. So we just have 5 11-ohs that we have on our needle. So go ahead and pull all of that down to the stop bead. Now to start the spiral stitch, you would go back through those 4 8-ohs that you just added on this stitch. When you go back through, it then puts your 11-ohs sitting to the side of your 8-ohs. Now I'm right-handed, I bead to the right most of the time, so I'm going to flip these beads to where the 11-ohs are sitting on the left-hand side. It'll become a little bit more easier to know why I do that in just a minute. So now we need to add our next section so that way we can continue growing. So from here on out, it's going to be this similar step. The only time that you add those 4 core beads is at the very beginning. Now you just add 1 core bead, which is going to be one of our 8-ohs. Then we need to add our side beads, so 5 of our 11-ohs. And then pull all of those down to the product and have it to where your side beads are on the left-hand side. Now you need to go back through 4 of your 8-ohs again. So this is the one that we just added on this stitch. So we're going to go back through 1, 2, 3, 4. You just count backwards 4, and then you go back through those beads at the moment. When you pull those down, that puts your 5 seed beads that you just added in this stitch off to the right here. So this is what I'm talking about as far as flipping it to the left. Now I flip those beads to the left hand side, and now I'm free to add beads on here. If you're left-handed, you'll be doing this in the opposite direction. You'll probably be flipping it to the right side, so that way you have room over on the left side to add your beads. So it really just depends on what's your comfort zone and how you like to hold your beads. So we're going to do this rotation 8 times until we have 8 of our 5 sets of 11-ohs sitting there. And then we will do a different section. So this is going to be number 3. I'm going to go a little bit faster. This is going to be a little bit repetitive. It is one of those bracelets and necklaces that you can make that ends up being kind of one that you don't really have to think too much about, other than if you're wanting to make sure that you have the right number of beads on the side, that you have to make sure that you're counting as well as talking. Sometimes this is kind of hard to do, but it is what it is, and we get through that. So that is number 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to add 4 more of these beads, and then I will show you the second part with the olive beads. It's going to be essentially the same way of adding the beads. It's just going to be different counts, because your 8-ohs, or your 8mm round beads, are going to be obviously a bigger size than your 11-oh seed beads. So 4, 5, and I think this is number 6. I will double check here in a second. There's a couple of different ways that you can count it if you want to, but I just count the amount of wraps around the core itself. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, so I need 2 more. And the other way that I would suggest is to, once you get your olive bead on and you start your 8 again, I would suggest to count out 8 of your 11 or 8-ohs, and then just set those off to the side, and then you pick up from those, so that way you know, okay, I have 5 more to do, or 4 more to do, or something like that. So that way you're not having to worry about too much of adding too many of your core beads or too little of your core beads to where the necklace ends up being not symmetrical. Alright, so that's number 7. So let's add number 8. And then when you get number 8 on, you can already see how this spiral is taking shape. So you can see the red core beads and then the brown root beer beads on the outer edge and everything. So the spiral is already starting to take really good shape to itself. So now we're going to add our olive beads. To do that, we still need to add a core bead first. Always need to add a core bead before you add anything else. So add 1 core bead. We're going to add 3 of our 11-ohs, an olive bead, and 3 more 11-ohs. And that is my dog snoring in the background. Apparently he's having a very good dream because he's about to start growling and barking. So we have the 1 core bead, 3 11-ohs, our olive, and then 3 11-ohs. We do the same thing. You count back 4 beads of your core ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go back through the 4 beads again. Now when you pull this down tight, which I have a knot in my thread somewhere, I need to fix that after I get done with this clip. When you pull that down tight, it looks like that, and so you just have to flip your beads over again, and then you continue on. You do 8 of your core beads with the 5 11-ohs, and then you add another of your olive beads. Now the amount of olive beads I ended up getting in my package was 23, so I'm going to go and do a full 23 of my rotations, and then I'm going to end with 8 more rotations on the other end, so that way it's symmetrical on either end. Now when I did my little sample to make sure that it's going to work, this is my sample that I started off with. The only difference is that I started off with an olive bead rather than starting off with the 8 that we did with here, the 8 core beads here. So I started off with an olive bead here instead. With this ends up being just about 2 inches. It's just slightly smaller than 2 inches. So if I do my math correctly, with the 23 beads that I have, I should have somewhere around, I'm thinking 15 to 16 inches of necklace already made. So my necklace may be long enough at the end, and I may be okay with that length. But I will continue on. I will make the rest of this. I will put all 23 beads on, and then I will come back and I will show you if we need to add any extra to the ends on how to do that. And if not, then we'll just get into the clasp and finish up the necklace after this. So just continue on with these steps, and then I'll meet you back in a moment. And for me, it's probably going to be about another hour or so of beading. So I'll be back in a minute. Alright everyone, I'm back for a brief moment because I want to show you how to add thread. With this being a rope design, you will definitely need to add thread on your project. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I only have 8 of my olive looking beads on my necklace so far, so I've got quite a bit more to go, and I've already used up just about 5 feet of thread. So I'm going to add a new piece. So here is my needle still attached to the thread. I'm taking my new piece of thread, I'm going to wrap it around the old piece of thread, and then just do a simple knot. Just tie it into a knot just like that. Now I'm going to move this knot down to the working product down here. Now I'm going to tie the 2 short ends together. Here's the old thread in my left hand and the new threads in my right hand. So I'm just going to do a right over left, left over right. With me, I just make a loop and go through that loop facing me once, make another loop, and then go through that loop going away from me once. And then now you should be tied. Now with this type of a project, all I usually do whenever we're making a core like this is I usually just leave the knot right there, and then I just continue on with the new piece of thread. And then after about 2 or 3 rotations away from where the knot's at, that's usually when I burn off my threads. With it being this long a thread though, I'll probably make it just a little bit shorter, just so it's easier to work with and everything. So I'll just make my my knot and burn down the threads just a little bit, just to make a little ball on either end of the thread, just like that. And then I'll continue on and work my way down the necklace. I keep wanting to call this a bracelet. This is a necklace we're making. So go ahead and continue. I just wanted to show you that just in case you got to that point where you're like, okay, now what? How do I add my thread? So there you go. I'll meet you back in another minute, and it's already been probably about 45 minutes, maybe 30. About 30 minutes or so of me beading, and I've only gotten the 8 beads on, so I've got about another maybe hour and a half, 2 hours or so, and I'll meet you back. Alrighty, so a couple hours into the future for me, a few seconds for you, and I have an 18.5-inch beaded, almost finished necklace. So that's what I ended up with as far as my length. So now we need to add our wire guards. We're going to add the wire guards, and then I'll add one of them, and then I'll break away and let you add the other one in the same fashion on the other side. So on this, if you're not familiar with the wire guard, it is a little horseshoe shaped item that typically is used with wire to help keep it from fraying and everything, but we also use it with thread as well when we're using thread and needle. It has two openings here down at the bottom, and then when you flip it on its side, you can see that there's a little bit of a channel right there in the center, and then that's where the thread will sit. So that way it'll help keep from the thread getting frayed and everything while it's being worn. So we're going to go up through one of the holes of the wire guard, and then bring that close to the product, and then we're going to wrap around and go down the other hole on the other side. And then I always pinch mine to where it kind of just helps guide the thread to sit in the wire guard itself. Now we need to get this attached to the item. So we're just going to go straight back down through the 8/0 that we have already sitting there. Go through that last 4. So we're basically going through the 4 that we just went through in the last stitch. We're just going straight back down the 8/0. Before we go too far, if you don't notice how the wire guard is sitting like that, sometimes if you just pinch the end of the wire guard and make it like that, it'll sit a little bit nicer and a little bit easier on the end of your necklace. So what do we do to get back up here again? So we just go straight back through the 5 11/0s that we added on that last step. And when you do that, you're back up to the top again. You're going to see a little bit of threads doing it this way, but that's okay because you already have a little bit of a thread sitting there anyway. But we're going to go back through our wire guard one more time. So go up the one side that you're closest to, and then go back down the other side of the wire guard. There it goes. And then just make sure that the thread stays in the channel. Then all we have to do is just tie off. So all I do when I tie off is I go back down a couple of beads, 2, 3, 4, or something like that, just whatever until my needle comes out. And then I find one of the bridge threads. That's, you know, you can pretty much use the whole center thread if you need to, like I'm going to do. Just go underneath the bridge thread, create a little loop, go through that loop with your needle, and then just pull down tight. When you do that, it makes a little knot. Move down a couple of spots, do the same thing. On a necklace, I would probably suggest to do at least 2, if not 3 of these. Sometimes you can just pick up one of those threads. Okay, for some reason I'm not able to pick up anything at the moment. It's being difficult for me. I think it's just because I'm getting tired from beading. So after this, I'm going to take a break and probably work on editing my videos and then catching up on watching some of the other people that I watch on YouTube, which I was doing when I was actually making this necklace as well. I was watching some other YouTubers, getting some really good ideas and thoughts and other things going on. Alrighty, so after you get a couple of those, 3 or 4 of them, go away from your last knot one more time. I'm going to go ahead and come out down below underneath this olive, and then that's where I'm going to burn off. Just make sure when you're burning off, you're burning your this thread, and you're not burning, oh, I hope I was in focus then, burning this thread off and not the project thread, because that would be very, very sad if right now you would actually burn through your project and you would have to start over in a specific spot. So now that I have one of them on, I'm going to break away and let you do this other one. Remember that we put the stop bead on, so take this one off, and then if your thread is long enough here at the end, then you can use this to attach your other wire guard. If it's not long enough, then go ahead and attach another piece of thread like we did earlier, and then put that wire guard on, and then meet me back and I'll show you how to connect the rest of it. So meet you back in a second. Okie dokie, so let's add that clasp on. I've already got the toggle portion, or the round portion of my toggle that I'm going to use for my jump ring for my lobster already attached. And I went ahead and I did use both of the 4mm jump rings. I just put them both at the same time, the same spot. So we're going to do the same thing with the 6mm, is use 2 of them. And it's only because this guy's pretty hefty, pretty big. He's not heavy, he's just a pretty big lobster, just to give it a little bit more stability. So putting the jump ring in between, the opening in between 2 different pliers, which this is not wanting to focus whatsoever. Let me turn this plier around this way. There we go. Okay, so that way it's open like that, and then you just loop it through, add your clasp, and close it up. And then you do the same thing with the other one. Of course, this one's going to be a little difficult at the moment. Of course it is, because I am recording. There we go. So then, let's see if I can get this one to focus. There we go. Open, put your pliers on either side of the opening and twist. And then this one, when you add the second one, you just want to make sure you're not going through the jump ring that you'd already added. You're just going through the wire guard and then going through the clasp and not looping through the jump ring. Just sits a little bit better that way. And then close that up. And then I will close and make sure those are closed up better off camera. So that would complete our necklace. Alrighty everyone, so here is our necklace complete. So I want to say thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out my Etsy shop. This necklace, as well as other items that I have made on my other videos, are up on my site already, ready for purchase. So if you're interested in purchasing this item, you can definitely go over there and see if there's anything you like, as well as this one. So thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button, and also leave a comment. I love to hear what you say or what you think about the video. So thanks again everyone. I will see y'all in the next video. Bye now.